Morning, page 500. Vadim Stepanovich Tuganov, Minister for the Protection of Public Order. What wild fantasy is this? Can I, the miserable conflict Ch02, be on my way to teach the Minister of Internal Affairs how to run the archipelago? On the approaches to the minister, nothing but colonels, bullet-headed, sleekly pallid, but very agile. No door leads on beyond the chief secretary's room. Where it should be stands an enormous mirror-fronted cupboard with gathered silk curtains behind the glass, big enough to take 2 men on horseback. And this turns out to be the vestibule of the minister's sanctum. His office would seat 200 comfortably. The minister himself is unhealthily fat with a heavy jaw. His face is trapezium, broadening towards the chin. Though the conversation, his manner is strictly official. Throughout the conversation, he hears me out as a matter of duty, but with no sign of interest. I launch at him the same old tirade about health resorts, and once again the same old questions. Is it our common aim, him and mine, to reform the sex? My views on reform are behind us in part 4. Why the sharp change? Of course, in 1961. Why those 4 camp regimes? I repeat boring things to him. I repeat boring things for him. All the things I've written in this chapter about diet, camp shops, parcels, clothing, work, bullying warders, the mentality of the practical workers. I've chosen not to bring the letters in case someone here pounces on them. I've simply copied out excerpts, omitting the author's names. I go on talking to him for 40 minutes or an hour. It seems a very long time anyway, and I am surprised myself that he is listening to me. He interrupts now and then, but only to accept or reject some statement outright. He does not attempt a crushing refutation. I was expecting a blank wall of arrogance, but he is much softer. He agrees with much of what I say. He agrees that shopping money must be increased, and that there should be more parcels, and that there is no need to define the contents of parcels as minutely as the Legislative Proposals Commission does. But this does not depend on him. The new corrective labor code, not the minister, will decide all these things. He agrees that prisoners should be allowed to boil or bake food they have acquired themselves, except that they never have any, and that there should be no limit on letters or printed matter sent through the mails, though this would put a great burden on the camp censorship. He is even against martinets who overdo drills and lineups, but it wouldn't be tactful to interfere. It's easy to wreck discipline, difficult to impose it. He agrees that the grass in the camp area should not be weeded out. What had happened in Broad Lake around the engineering workshops was quite another matter. They had planted a little kitchen gardens. The machine operators busied themselves there during their break, and each man had 2 or 3 square meters sown with tomatoes or cucumbers. But the minister ordered them dig it all under, destroyed at once, and he was proud of it. I tell him that man's ties with the earth have a moral importance, and he tells me that individual garden plots foster property-owning instincts. The minister even shudders at the thought that people had been sent back behind the wire after living outside. I don't like to ask what his position was at the time and what he did to prevent it. More than all of this, the minister acknowledges that sex are kept in harsher conditions now than in the days of Ivan Denisovich. This being so, I need not waste my time persuading him. There is nothing for us to discuss, and it is pointless for him to take note of suggestions from someone with no official position. What can I suggest? Breaking up the whole archipelago and letting prisoners live without guards? I can't get the words out. It's utopian. And anyway, the solution of a big problem never depends on a single individual. It winds snake-like through many departments, and it's at home. And it's at home in none. On the other hand, the minister is emphatically sure that the striped uniform for habitual criminals is necessary. If only you knew what sort of people they are. My critical remarks about the warders and convoy troops simply offend him. You are confused, or else your own experiences have given you a peculiar way of looking at things. He assures me that you can no longer round up receipts for the prison service because the old privileges have been done away with. It shows a healthy attitude on the part of the ordinary people if they won't join up. I almost exclaim, but I feel the warning tug of the strings at my ears, my eyelids, my tongue. However, I'm overlooking something. It's only sergeants and corporals who won't join. You can't keep the officers out. They have to make use of conscripts. Contradicting me again, the minister tells me that only prisoners use vulgar abuse, while warders are invariably correct in their manner of speaking to prisoners. Puppy, where are you? When there is such a discrepancy between the letters of insignificant sex and the words of a minister, whom shall we believe? Clearly the prisoners are lying. He even quotes his own observation at first hand, because he, of course, doesn't see something of the camps, and I do not. Does see something of the camps. Perhaps I would like to visit one, Krukova or Dubrovnik. These two names come to him so easily that they are obviously Potemkin structures. Besides, in what capacity would I go? As a ministry inspector? If I could, I couldn't look the sex in the face. I refuse. The minister, disagreeing with me, expresses the view that Zeks lack feeling and do not respond to efforts made for them. You go to the Magnitogorsk colony and ask any complaints about your treatment, and with the head of the camp division standing by, would you believe it, they shout in chorus, none. Now, for what the minister sees as splendid results of the re-education program in the camps. A machine operator's pride when the head of his camp division commended him. The pride of prisoners whose work they made kettles was destined for heroic Cuba. The reports and elections of internal order sections, that is, Eppage went walking. The abundance of flowers provided by the state in Dubrovnik. His main concern is to create in every camp an industrial base of its own. The minister reckons that by increasing the number of interesting jobs, he can cut out escape attempts. When I object that all human beings long for freedom, he simply doesn't understand. I left with the weary conviction that there was no end to it, that I had not advanced my cause by a hair's breadth, and that they would always take a sledgehammer to crack a nut. I left depressed by the realization that two human minds could think so differently. Zek will understand a minister when he ensconces himself in a ministerial sanctum, and the minister will understand Zek when he too goes behind the wire, has his own garden plot trodden down. And in return for his freedom is offered the chance to master a machine. Institute for the Study of the Origins of Criminality. This was an interesting discussion with two cultured deputy directors and several members of the research staff, lively people, each with his own opinions, given to arguing among themselves. Afterward, V.N. Kudratyevtsev, one of the deputy directors, chided me as he led me along the corridor. It's all very well, but you don't take all points of view into account. Now Tolstoy would have done so. And suddenly I found that he had tricked me into taking a wrong turn. Well, just look in and meet the director, Igor Ivanovich Karpets. This visit was not part of the plan. We finished our discussion. What was the point of it? Well, all right, I'll drop in to shake hands. I need not have expected a polite exchange of greetings here. It was hard to believe that the deputy directors and heads of section I had seen worked for a boss like this, that he presided over all their research. The most important thing about him I would learn much later. Karpets was vice president of the International Association of Democratic Lawyers. The man who rose to meet me was hostile and disdainful, as I remember it, and we remained on our feet throughout our 5-minute conversation, as if he were reluctantly granting an interview for which I had begged and pleaded. I saw in his face, I saw well-fed prosperity, firmness, and distaste for me. With no thought for his nice suit, he had pinned a large badge on his chest as though it were a medal. A vertical sword piercing something down below, over the legend MVD. This appears to be a very important badge. It shows that the wearer has had clean hands, fire in his heart, and a cool head, much longer than most. Let's have it then. What have you been talking about? He asks with a scowl. I have no use for him at all, but out of politeness I repeat some of it. Oh, that, says the democratic lawyer, as though he had heard enough. Liberalization, hey? Babying the sex? Then, suddenly, out they come, full answers to all the questions which I had carried in vain over the marble floors and between mirrored walls. Raise the living standards of prisoners? Can't be done. Because the free people around the camp would be living less well than the Czechs, which cannot be allowed. Receive parcels frequently and bigger ones? Can't be done, because this would have a bad effect on the warders who get no food from Moscow shops. Reprimand warders and teach them to behave better? Can't be done. We're trying to hold on to them. Nobody wants the job. We can't pay much, and some of their privileges have been taken away. We deny prisoners payment for their work according to socialist principles. Their own fault. They've cut themselves off from our socialist society. But we don't want to reclaim them for normal life. Reclaim them? The sword bearer is astonished. That's not what the camps are about. A camp is a place of retribution. Retribution. The word fills the whole room. Retribution. Retribution. The sword stands upright, to smite, to pierce. You'll never ease it out again. Retribution. The archipelago was, the archipelago remains, the archipelago will stand forever. Without it, who can be made to suffer for the errors of the vanguard doctrine, for the fact that people will not grow into the shapes devised for them? Thank you for listening. I'm gonna cut it short today. This is the last chapter, and I think there's 2 parts to it. So 2 more days. 2 or 3 parts, maybe. I think there's only 2. Maybe 3. Anyways. Yeah, 3 more parts to it. So 3 more days. And then I have a few things to read to wrap it up. In the back, and some biography parts. Anyways, thank you for listening. Have a good day.